Mark Consuelos made it clear he wouldn't change a thing about the lightning-fast way he and Kelly Ripa eloped back in 1996. During the Friday, November 14, episode of Live with Kelly and Mark, the duo dove into a discussion about whether marital success has anything to do with the length of time a couple dates before saying, "I do." While reviewing a study claiming that pairs who date for at least 3 years are 39% less likely to divorce, Consuelos joked that he and Ripa definitely didn't fit the model. "I got my data pretty quickly," he insisted, prompting Ripa to note just how young they were when they rushed to the altar. "We didn't have that much data. We were so young when we got married. What data do we have together?" she laughed. Consuelos quipped right back, "Oh, there was data. There was some data," before emphasizing that the pair spent long hours together on the set of All My Children, which gave him a front-row seat to how Ripa handled pressure. Assuring Ripa she did amazing, Consuelos added. "Good data, great data." Ripa admitted she'd hate 30 years in to find out you were thinking the data was C, but Consuelos quickly shut that down. "No, I have no regrets," he said later on in the conversation, joking. "What choice do I have now?" Consuelos agreed those early days as newlyweds were fun, despite the unconventional setup. Ripa added, "I think we did it. Listen, yeah," acknowledging they could second-guess decisions in hindsight, but ultimately both landed on the same conclusion. "No regrets," they said in unison. Even after nearly 30 years, it seems the A-list star's quick choice to run off and get married remains one they'd make all over again. When Mark Consuelos looks back at the spring morning in 1996 that changed his life forever, he doesn't remember nerves, doubts, or even the blur that most couples describe when they rush into marriage. What he remembers is a feeling, warm, mischievous, a little wild, like two kids cutting class together, except the class was life itself, and the consequence was a marriage that would span decades. But even now, when people ask him if he regrets the quick decision, he just laughs with that signature Mark Consuelos half-smile and says, "Regrets? None. What choice do I have now?" The line is teasing, of course, a joke delivered with the confidence of someone who knows he made exactly the right leap. But the real truth is deeper, richer, and shaped by nearly 30 years of partnership with Kelly Ripa, his co-star, his co-conspirator, and the woman who has matched him heartbeat for heartbeat since the day they met. A wild decision, in the middle of ordinary life. The story is now legendary. Two young soap opera actors, working long hours, navigating their careers, their chemistry, and their futures, deciding, almost on impulse, to escape to Las Vegas and get married. No big announcement. No wedding planner. No sparkling ballroom. Just two people with an idea and a little bit of magic between them. Mark remembers that day with a clarity that surprises even him. "It wasn't dramatic," he'd say years later. "No violins, no slow-motion moment. It was simple. She was there, I was there, and it just felt right." Kelly, for her part, has always recalled the details with a storyteller's delight. The cheap bouquet, the chapel employee who looked faintly bored, the off-brand wedding march music. But for Mark, the details never mattered. What mattered was the feeling. "It's like we chose the life we wanted before the life even knew what to do with us," he says. "How could I regret that?" Life after the leap. Eloping sounds romantic in hindsight, but at the time, it was risky. They were young. They were still figuring out who they were both personally and professionally, but somehow the decision grounded them. In the years that followed, they didn't talk about regrets. They didn't have time for them. They built careers, 3 children, 2 coasts, countless stories, and one of the most durable marriages in entertainment. Every time a new chapter began, new job, new city, new opportunity, it echoed that same impulsive, sweet courage that had driven them to a Vegas chapel. And for Mark, that elopement became the core of their mythology. "You know how every couple has a story they go back to when they're overwhelmed?" he once explained. "Some couples talk about their first house, their first big trip. For us, it's that chapel. It reminds us that we've always jumped together." Even after decades together, strangers, interviewers, and curious fans still ask him if he regrets not having a big wedding. They imagine maybe he'd want the traditional walk down the aisle, the music, the speeches, the parents wiping their eyes. But Mark never wavers. What would we even have done differently? Nothing, he insists. If I had 100 chances, I'd pick the same day, the same place, the same ridiculous chapel organ. He says it with a laugh, but the certainty is unmistakable. Mark might joke that he can't have regrets, because what choice do I have now? But the truth is that the decision wasn't careless, it was fearless. We didn't need the spectacle, he explains. We needed each other, and we've still got that. The romance in the imperfect. There's something genuinely romantic about the way Mark retells their elopement. Not because it was glamorous, but because it was the opposite. He likes the imperfections. He likes the messy humanity of it. He likes the fact that their marriage began without pressure or performance. It's the kind of story that makes people believe in love again, not in the cinematic way, but in the honest, everyday way where two people say, "Let's do this," and don't look back. Mark often says that marriage isn't made of one big moment but thousands of tiny ones. Coffee before early call times, arguments about who lost the remote, laughing at jokes nobody else finds funny, parenting triumphs and disasters, all of it stitched together into a life. Their elopement, then, wasn't the epic beginning of a fairy tale. It was the first page of a book they would write together, line by line. A marriage that grew with them. One of the things Mark prides himself on is that he and Kelly have grown, not apart, not parallel, but toward one another. Every new version of themselves has found a home in the other. When Kelly became a morning show host, Mark cheered her on. When Mark entered new acting roles, Kelly supported him from the sidelines. When their kids were born, they became a team, balancing schedules, priorities, and sleepless nights. Marriage isn't about freezing yourselves at the age you were when you met, Mark says. It's about evolving, and sometimes that evolution is messy, but we always choose each other. And that's why he has no regrets. Because every choice since that elopement has been an extension of the first one. Trust each other, leap together, figure it out as you go. The humor that holds them together. Anyone who watches Mark and Kelly's dynamic knows that humor is the secret code of their marriage. They tease, they flirt, they roast